Well, folks, MySims is certainly a game that exists, and honestly, there's a lot more going on than one might think. So, hello everyone, Izzy here, and I'm here to talk about this bizarrely obscure game that is everywhere and nowhere all at the same time. Before we get into this, just to nip it in the bud right away, the signature at the end of this video is gonna say 2022 in it. It is currently 2023. That is because the footage is old, that is not because I messed up. I probably will mess up eventually, but this is not it yet, so there's that. Anyway, the rest of this video will have a script for once. Wow, we're really moving up in the world. The original MySims was released for Wii and DS in 2007, although I hear they're very different games. I wouldn't actually know, I've only played the game on Wii and recently PC, but major changes in direction are fairly standard for handheld releases of 3D games, so I don't doubt it. Speaking of PC, it was released there in 2008, and it's basically just the Wii version with some added content, and a couple of bizarre changes, one of which I will include at the end. The game, for console and PC at least, is a cozy adventure targeted mainly towards kids. Don't let YouTube hear that. Sorry guys, I just don't want to wind up on there.
Oh!
Anyway, MySims, while still technically listed as a simulation game, is far more similar to the puzzle action genre of Drawn to Life, or if you haven't heard that one, more loosely to Scribblenauts. Basically, your self-insert character shows up at this worn-down, but still delightfully cute town, and is given the goal of restoring it to its former glory. The reason that you have to do this and not somebody else is that you possess a magical ability that apparently no one else does, that of the essences. Essences come from basically anything you can interact with, be that the fruits and bark off trees, fish you catch in the lake, the emotions you bring out in townsfolk, or an assortment of random objects that are for some reason deemed important, like cake, or robots, or a weird knockoff Game Boy. Using these essences, you build new items for existing townspeople and build homes for new townspeople, with the ultimate goal of becoming a 5-star town. Every star unlocks new areas to explore and, in turn, new essences, while also adding new lots to place houses on. I've personally never actually managed to beat the game because I just tended to start over every time I booted it up, but I've heard that it doesn't actually take too long to beat if your only goal is finishing. The reason it's taken me so long, though, is that charm just oozes from every inch of this game and it incentivizes you to do a lot of things that aren't goals. With only a couple of exceptions, the locations are all really unique, which makes it very fun to keep exploring as you unlock more areas of the town. The townspeople also have 2 likes and 1 dislike that informs their personality, and it really does seem to have an impact on what they do, down to the essences that they leave when you talk to them. You can interact with them in a positive way to boost your friendship meter, or purposefully act coldly to reduce it. I think, although I'm not actually fully sure that there are consequences in this game. But even when you're not talking to them, they seemingly have entire lives going on in the game. You can always catch them in other residences, sleeping in other people's beds, eating plates of spaghetti that spawn out of thin air, absolutely dumping cookies from the fridge down their throats, splashing in water fountains, playing arcade games, and talking amongst themselves. If you follow them around for a while, they can really start to feel like individuals occupying their own little world. Not that I would know anything about following people around. Okay, maybe I wanted to see what Violet was doing, don't sue me. Anyway, still. The dialogue, outside of plot-relevant text, is all in gibberish, which leaves a lot up to the imagination, but there's little pictures that give you just enough of an idea that you can make something of it, and it's really fun, and all just so charming. But a lot of these features may have seemed familiar. If you know MySims, you may see where I'm going. A cute and well-made kids game for a home console is nostalgic for sure, but it makes sense that not a lot of people would remember it. If it wasn't that popular, there were a lot of other options, especially in the 2000s. All of the delightfully archaic chat sites, V-Smiles, Leapfrogs, plug-and-plays, heck, other Wii games, which there were so many of those. But this one is a bit of a special case. It's called MySims, and not just because it's a simulation game, but also... Yeah, it's related to That Sims. The Sims! Is there a person on the internet right now who hasn't at least, like, vaguely heard of The Sims? Like, and do you know how confusing this was for me as a tween? When my friends would be like, I set my Sim's house on fire, and I'd sit there being like, fire? In The Sims? In MySims? How did you do that? Are they okay? Are my friends okay? I don't remember the literal conversations that were had, but it always seemed so baffling to me that people knew The Sims through the adult game. MySims, despite being quite literally The Sims but for kids, is basically nothing like The Sims. I would think that, if anything, everyone would have heard of MySims growing up and then went, oh, there's an adult version? Cool. But that just never seems to be what happens. It's EA, dagnabbit! Why does the early Madden game get more attention than this? I mean, there is a clear difference in quality and it's not leaning in Madden's favor, I'll just say that. I mean, seriously, not only is it an official EA title, but they still have it listed proudly on their website to this day, and it's based on their most popular franchise by far. And still nobody talks about it? It's not even like MySims bombed, it spawned an entire franchise. These spin-offs included MySims Kingdom, MySims Agents, MySims Party, MySims Racing, and MySims Sky Heroes. There's also an app for DSi listed on EA's website called MySims Camera, which basically just lets you drop your sim into a photo booth style. I'm not entirely sure why they still have that one up, considering that Nintendo's DSi shop closed down in 2017, but I digress. In any case, that number of games is absolutely nothing to sneeze at. There's a great video by ApoxFox delving into the history of this franchise and why it ultimately came to an untimely close, and I'll link that below. It's extremely insightful, and it really does help make sense of just why EA doesn't continue to make these games that seem like guaranteed success. What I'm still unclear about, though, is why this game is just so obscure, especially when it is absolutely everywhere the more you look. And what exactly does that mean? Well, when the concept for this video wiggled its way into my head, I really thought that this game was never talked about anymore by anyone. That's not really true, though. When I started searching up stuff about the game, I started to find Let's Plays and video essays that are pretty recent. A channel called Jareas has posted tier lists and Let's Plays of various Sims games as recently as a week ago. A year ago, he even posted a tier list of all the characters from 3 of the games, and he even mentioned that there was a themed week of content among MySims creators. Like, an Inktober of MySims? First of all, that sounds really cool, and secondly, I'll link that video below, too. It's a great tier list, by the way, and not to spoil anything, but he put my boy in S tier, consistently, might I add, so that's something that I greatly appreciate. So, clearly people do remember the game if there's a whole community dedicated to it, doing their own Inktober sort of thing. Shockingly, though, this reach also extends past the MySims community into some of the biggest creators in the general Sims community. Like, while certainly not a mainstay of her channel, Vixella streamed MySims 2 years ago and uploaded it to her channel Squasha Streams. You can still find all of them. Plumbella also uploaded multiple videos of the original and spin-off titles to her main channel the same year. And it goes deeper still. The general comedic gaming community has dipped its toes into this game. Peanut Butter Gamer played through multiple of the titles around 10-11 years ago, and it was apparently even a running joke of his channel just how much he didn't like the games. Yikes. While these are absolutely older uploads to the channel, it's clear by the newer comments that people are still seeing them. Additionally, as recently as 2 years ago, Call Me Kevin and RT Games both played it. All 3 of these channels are still wildly successful, with RT having recently been featured as a guest on Jaden Animation's Subathon. It seemingly tends to be the case that when so many content creators this size have played a game in a relatively short period of time, the game tends to trend a bit. Not necessarily in purchases, I mean maybe it does, I don't know, but I just mean you tend to see more creators starting to tackle the game as well within a relatively short time frame, and then with more creators revisiting the game, more people become aware that the game exists and will also revisit it, or make fan art of it, or recommend it to other creators who haven't partaken just yet. It just seems like the same never happened for MySims. I mean, I could have just not been paying enough attention at the time, it's possible, but I don't know, it's just kind of strange. And it gets even more confusing. The music for the game is absolutely viral. You hear the background music to this video? Well, the tracks I've been using the whole video are from the game. And does any of it sound familiar? Because I've personally heard some of these songs as the background track to commentary videos. I can't pinpoint which ones exactly, or I would include a clip. The track is so recognizable that once you hear it, it's really hard to miss, especially if you grew up with it. But even once I found that out, I thought that it was going to be exclusive to YouTube. It's not exactly uncommon for game tracks to be used as background music after all. It's in games' best interest to let Let's Plays do the work to advertise their games rather than copyright striking them for audio or visuals. Unless it's Nintendo. So, typically, it's much less likely to get your video flagged than using a song from the radio. What I can't imagine is nearly as common, though, is what commenter wholesome added under one of the PVG videos. Quote, "You know what's really weird about this game? You'll hear music from it everywhere. It's in drunk history commercials on TV and at least one National Geographic video, the short one with the vertical wall climbing goats. I guess it must be free to use," end quote. I am actually gasping right now. Editor Izzy here. I found the video of the goats. I'm gonna clip it in. I'm so sorry, National Geographic. Please don't hurt me. So yeah, with that confirmed, I also want to add that Clef Bay added under the original comment that this happens with music from The Sims as well, the regular Sims. It makes me wonder if this is a thing for all of EA's titles, that they're just easy to license, or if tracks from Sims games really just are used in public broadcasting without licensing because EA doesn't care. It seems strange that the money company themselves would be so lax about The Sims music, but I don't know. I guess the big point here is that some ad agency somewhere has definitely looked at MySims music, and that's fun. I can imagine some of the YouTubers having found it mixed into like happy video game music to vibe to or something, but surely someone putting together a televised ad can't just do that, like, because of the law? And like, does this mean that Drunk History channel opened a file titled MySims with the most bright, kiddish colors imaginable, looked at it, and was like, oh yeah, this represents exactly the message we're trying to communicate for our drunken episode on the horrors of World War I or something. Like, I don't know. I haven't found that one yet, by the way, but I'm assuming it's out there. That makes sense. Also, real quick, about the art, you know, the thing the channel's about, at the time of recording this, I hadn't done a finished illustration in quite a while, so I wanted to do some playing with lighting and posing to kind of make up for it. Like, none of it's really extreme, to the point where I didn't even really need to use a reference for the most part. That's for another day, but a lot of change happened during this drawing. I started it on my Wacom Intuos Pro, the tablet that I'd had for years. It's a graphic tablet, not a display tablet, and as much as I really do and did love it, I was just starting to feel that disconnect between physical and digital more than I ever had. Like, I enjoyed sketching in my sketchbook significantly more than on my tablet, and I found it difficult to get as much precision as I wanted for line art. It just happens that around the time I was filming this, XP Pen was having a Black Friday sale, and I got one! To be specific, it was the Artist 16 in pink. That makes sense with the branding, huh? Anyways, it's my first display tablet, so I don't have that much of a frame of reference, but it really seems nice so far. And I realized that I can actually work a lot faster than I thought I could, solely because the guesswork of the disconnect is entirely gone. It's a lot closer to sketching on paper. I wouldn't say a one-to-one replacement. There is a special sauce about paper, but it's still just much more enjoyable than smooth plastic on smooth plastic. I feel like it can be much more precise with inking too, and that will also get better with time, I'm sure, as I've only used it on a few things so far, including the previous two videos. The tablet showed up before I finished this, specifically the suitcase in the background. All the little fixes that make the line art on the suitcase less scratchy towards the end were all done with the XP Pen, because my patience for line art on the Wacom had basically gone away. I think it came out a lot better once I had the display tablet at my disposal. I also just wanted to mention quickly a really positive part of the XP Pen ordering process that I haven't heard talked about a lot, which is, initially, there was a bit of a hiccup in the shipping. It was during the holiday season, so honestly it's to be expected that it's hectic, but like, the package was taped up a little weird and a couple of items weren't there that I thought were gonna be there in the initial package. So I contacted their customer service on a very, very early Sunday morning, and they got back to me right away on Monday, informing me that they'd been shipped separately and a separate package was coming and that it was all going to be fine and to let them know if there are any more issues. Well, the items all came shortly thereafter and everything was in great condition despite the outward hiccups. So, great and prompt customer service, honestly even better than I'd expected it to be, and yeah, really good experience there. And also, if you wanted a more thorough review/analysis of the tablet, I did record the first quick sketch I did with it. It's not much as I was figuring out the settings and how my workflow would be, but I was still surprisingly happy with the finished product and would be glad to answer any questions you might have in the comments below this video. I'm not sponsored or affiliated or anything. I bought it with my own money. I just seen a lot of people talking about it and figured that it might be nice to get the opinion of someone who isn't sponsored in the slightest, you know? Also, I put up a poll on Instagram to decide on Buddy's eye color for this, considering that he doesn't really have any in-game. To clarify, this game definitely does have eye options that are fully colored in an anime-esque style, so no, I don't necessarily count the brown dot as his eye color. My Instagram handle's the same as the channel name, by the way, so if you want to participate in stuff like this in the future, see work-in-progress photos of art videos, and see more of the random stuff I decide is worth sharing on stories, absolutely feel free to follow. The link will be below. This particular poll was between blue and brown, because for some reason I'd always had canoned his eyes to be blue, but in the game they are definitely brown, so I don't know where that came from. Anyway, the results were basically tied, and actually it leaned slightly in favor of brown eyes, but I wound up liking blue eyes, and so the one extra vote for brown was balanced up by my preference for blue, so I just wound up making a version for both. So you guys can decide which one you like more. But, anywho, who is this
Buddy boy?
Why draw this crazy little man? If you haven't played MySims, you probably wouldn't know, but he's kinda best boy. Essentially, I drew him because he's my soulmate. Nah, but that is kind of what younger me thought. I was always one of those kids who would walk into a piece of media and walk out of it with a fictional crush holding their hand. Every time. I've evolved a lot since because now I don't really develop romantic feelings towards fictional characters. I just hold them with an iron grip screaming into the Tumblr void about Blorbas from my shows. So, on second thought, maybe I devolved a bit, but now I know Knight Rider, so everything works out. Buddy is a science nerd / geek type character whose dream is to go into space, but he's working as a bellhop and making the most of every minute by being the most passionate, dedicated bellhop there's ever been. He's clumsy though, and frequently falls on his face in front of everyone, but he picks himself back up with a smile and a giggle. I used to do the, quote, be nice, quote, interaction, until the one where you, blow the character a kiss cycled in, and then usually the character also blows you back a kiss, and then I just kind of freak out that he kissed me. I'm not entirely sure if I thought that, continuing to do this would make the friendship meter max out and reveal the secret dating sim, but surprise, that's not a thing in the baby game. All these years later, Buddy is still my favorite, though. Now mostly just because I think his design is really cute and personality is endearing. Anyway, I don't really have a solid conclusion to all of this, other than just, if you haven't checked out this game before, you absolutely should. I highly recommend it. It's really cute. Admittedly, it may be a bit repetitive after a while as an adult, but as a kid that never even occurred to me, and it really is just a good, wholesome time. And honestly, despite this game not reaching the heights that it potentially could have, I really do think it deserves a chance. Everyone who I've talked about this game to who has eventually decided to check it out has really enjoyed it, so it's not a lack of broad appeal or a lack of brand recognition or social media presence or even a lack of sales. It was just a bizarre circumstance. I really have no clue what happened to this game, but maybe we can change that in the future. Maybe we can change its obscurity to at least somewhat popularity someday. Who knows? That would be a lot of fun, though. And there are a lot of ways to have the MySims experience at this point. If you don't want to whip out the Wii, or you don't want to buy a game from 2007 for $20 on Origin, thanks EA, understandable, honestly. However, I did find the PC version for much cheaper on another website, and considering that I'd only ever played the Wii version, I decided to get it. I got my code, and it worked with absolutely no hiccups, but if you do decide to go this route, I have seen reviews for that very same website from people who didn't get their code, and that is unfortunate if those alleged things are true. Still though, if you feel like taking that risk, it worked out fine for me. I will leave the link in the below to that. And absolutely do your research though first. If not, you can always play it for free by emulating the Wii version on Dolphin. It works pretty well for this game actually. A tad laggy, but like it's easy enough to map to the right keys and it works pretty well. With that, the art should be about done, so yeah, I hope you like it, and please let me know if you think I should make more videos like this in the future. I'm always excited to hear you guys' thoughts on things. I will say I won't touch horror-based media with a 100-foot pole, but I'm open to basically any other suggestions for games and shows to discuss. If you got this far in the video, please comment below with your favorite MySims character if you've played. No particular reason for this, I just think it would be really great to know, because they all have such fun, distinct personalities. Honestly, it's just like the vibes of your favorite. It would be very fun to read. And if not, be honest, okay? Be honest with me, level with me. Look at the design of this boy. If you were a kid, would you have liked him? Would you have, tell me you would have liked him. Come on, I'm not weird. Everyone would have. I'm not strange for this. I'm not. And that should be the end for real this time. Thank you everyone so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful and joyful rest of your day. Peace! Okay, so as promised, here's the bizarre difference between the two games that I just don't understand, the PC and the Wii version to be specific. Turns out I deleted my version for Dolphin when I downloaded the Origin version, and so I was trying to find a video that contained prospecting in the Wii version, and it was so hard to find, so thank you GoCub711 for uploading this version. It's been a lifesaver with making this video, and also it has great information about the prospecting system in MySims. As you can see, it is liked, and I will link below also. But I'm just going to play this little clip. Listen to the low and the high sounds, like the sound of the prospecting.
Prospect. If you play MySims Kingdom, it's basically the same thing. MySims Kingdom, I find it a lot smoother, though. Right here. And you'll dig it up. You get chests, and you'll get some essences. We don't need these 8 balls, but you can get 8 balls. The redder it gets, the closer you are to where you want to be. The redder it gets, the higher pitched and the faster it goes. Okay, there's stone, so we need 4 stone.
Okay, so that should be that. Okay, we are now in exactly the same spot as Go Cups was. The same prospecting spot. But this is the Origin PC version. Ready? Let's find a bad spot. Do you hear that janky as heck change from low to high? Go. It sounds so bad! The world... It works the exact same way, it's just inexplicably worse. So, yeah. Yeah, do with that as you will. Anyway, that was it. I thought it was weird.